Good afternoon, pal, and the WebEye management team. Thank you for seeking our assistance regarding the future of your telematics company. As your management consultants, we've arranged a series of slides for us to work through, so let's begin. Using a modified Winnipeg-Rios analytic model, our presentation begins with an introduction of our team. After the introductions, we'll recall a quick anecdote relating to relationship with fan courier. Moving forward, we will then look at the current situation and consider your relevant problems. Then, a series of analysis will be provided in order for us to look through potential solutions. After doing so, we will present our professional recommendation and provide some risks for you to consider should you choose an alternative other than ours. And finally, our presentation will finish off with an opportunity to address any questions or concerns that you may have. So, a quick introduction. My name is Kush, and I am presenting alongside my colleagues, Tafiq, Brianne, and Juan from Odyssey Consultants, and we are pleased to be able to provide some insight on how to grow WebEye during these unprecedented times. We will start by recalling a quick story that WebEye is very familiar with, and that is your contractual relationship with Fan Courier. We won't go much into detail as this is not new information, but we just wanted to highlight the effectiveness and reliability of not only the TAS telematics system, but also the WebEye team and how you were able to make a positive impact with your telematics. 5 years after entering the market, WebEye went international and reached the milestone of 10,000 subscriptions. 10 years later, TAS was introduced and WebEye achieved 50,000 subscriptions. Fast forward to 2019, WebEye has reached 80,000 subscriptions. While it is true that WebEye is on a growth trajectory, there are some key concerns that we need to address for future growth. So PAL, WebEye has an operation management problem. This refers to the concerns related to growing the TAS model and expanding the business. Additionally, you raised some concerns about the finances of the company, and specifically ARPU. You summarized said concerns with one central question: how do we increase growth with the current turbulent market conditions? And in short, the answer is to seek partnership with Daimler AG and directly implement TAS into their HCVs as well as enter the LCV market simultaneously. But let us show you why using a series of analytic methods. So, in a 36.6 active usage automotive industry, your primary HCV market only consists of 16%. So we believe that you would benefit from an expansion to the LCV market, which has an 82% market share. From a bird's eye view, this shows that TAS is underutilized and revenue is not being maximized.
Let's address the elephant in the room right now, that being the impact of COVID-19 on the industry. While I know we're all exhausted with this topic, it is important to note that it has led to an increase in demand for home deliveries and LCVs. This is an opportunity for you to market your TAS model during the pandemic while other competitors are stagnant. To put this into motion, we suggest partnering with the automotive manufacturer rather than a delivery service, because the manufacturer will be able to directly implement TAS into LCVs sold to the delivery companies. Is the telematic industry attractive for your company? And the general answer is definitely. Although at first glance the market does not look promising, we want to convey the fact that TAS model has granted you a competitive advantage that you need to capitalize on now before rivals can take your place. So here are your competitors and yourself placed on a map based on subscription count and innovation. Again, you might not think you're in a great place visually, but the reality is being the underdog is not a bad thing. You have a market innovating product which is unrealized, so expansion would help to increase subscription count and allow you to improve your market ranking. With 36.6% total growth, 19% compound rate of paying units, and a 15.3% new installation rate, WebEye has positive financials and a strong foundation for a strategic expansion. With that being said, a 6.5% churn rate must decrease, and this should be accomplished by marketing the TAS model as customizable and consumer-friendly. Speaking of your products, we wanted to take a moment to consider some key facts about your old model. Obviously, you know the system well enough, but we wanted to highlight your two most popular packages and what we can learn from them when determining the target demographics for the future. So the takeaway is that your main consumer base is transportation companies as well as medium-sized transportation fleets. The TAS model allows you to follow a structure where consumers are able to pick the pieces and create their own puzzle. This benefits the consumer because TAS is flexible in order to meet their financial and operational needs. The key differentiator between the old model and the new is a financing-based contract model instead of using an initiation fee, which we believe has merit but should be adjusted, and we will cover this in the next slide. So, is TAS worthwhile? In short, our answer is yes, but there is an underutilized competitive advantage. This means TAS is valuable, rare, inimitable, but not organized. To correct this, we believe the prices of each individual service in the TAS needs to rise to improve the ARPU. Let's look at the WebEye as a whole. While we would be happy to discuss our completed SWOT analysis after this meeting, for the purpose of the time, we will highlight the key takeaway, which is that WebEye has an opportunity to innovate and capitalize on the volatile state of the market in order to get ahead in the market position.
Speaking of capitalization, that brings us to potential synergistic partnerships or a target demographic. So, because automotive manufacturers produce both HCVs and LCVs, they provide an opportunity to grow during the pandemic, are large in size and wealth, and finally would utilize the majority of TAS offerings. They are the most practical partnership. You might be wondering, if delivery companies are more effective using the pandemic, but this solution is more long-term, this means that it is not a matter of if manufacturers stop producing vehicles due to the pandemic. The important thing is that they have such a large existing fleet and also sell to those same delivery companies. So we propose partnering with an automotive company, but the question is where? Because Germany has such a large amount of existing commercial vehicles, the most new LCV registrations, and is also closest to your headquarters in Hungary, we have chosen them as a primary geographic region. To jump the gun a little bit, Daimler, an automotive manufacturer, has their headquarters in Germany, so that partnership is the most sensible. You will also notice that Italy is on this map, and they have the second largest new LCV registrations. So we propose entering that market in years to come after settling in Germany first. Pal, you also showed interest in the Spanish geographic region, but having a lower amount of new LCV registrations, we cannot recommend that market. At this point, you're probably wondering how to market the TAS model, considering some of our proposed adjustments. We believe the most important factor is promotion, which should be accomplished by self-advertising your services through a successful partnership with Daimler. The second most important factor is price, which is structured to appeal to the bad margins of trucking or fleet management companies who have an elastic demand. The next most important factor is the product, which is based on personalization, cybersecurity, and innovation to cater customer needs. The fourth most important factor is place, referring to WebEye's desire to expand operations, specifically in Germany and Italy. The final factor for your marketing strategy should be recognizing the people. This refers to catering predominantly LCV while also advertising to HCVs. How to actually pursue the growth that we have proposed. So you have what we call the first mover advantage, and you should take a product development approach, meaning you have a new product in an existing market and need to fully maximize its potential. Of course, to do so, we have proposed a partnership to directly implement your services into a fresh LCV sector. Now, let's shift gears into some potential options for you to consider regarding the next generation of WebEye. These alternatives have been derived utilizing the MESI method, which begins by doing nothing. The reality is that you're in line with market trends, and it is reasonable to hope that the TAS model will speak for itself. You could also consider focusing exclusively on the LCV market, as they house the majority of commercial vehicle industry. You may also choose to replicate another fan carrier type deal by partnering with delivery companies, who could implement your product during the pandemic. Another option is to partner with an automotive producer who could directly implement your products into their LCVs and HCVs. You may also choose to return to your old business model if you feel as though the expenses of TAS outweigh the benefits. And finally, our last option for you to consider is selling WebEye to a competitor in a horizontal transaction, leaving the market with a large profit. To grade each option, we will be taking into consideration some of the most important factors to WebEye, including financial growth, expansion, risk, as well as pandemic exploitation.
We have compiled this data into a decision matrix, which weighs the pros and cons of each option discussed in the context of valuable criteria. Please note that a pro is denoted by a green checkmark, which indicates that we should pursue that option, whereas a red X indicates a con in terms of your values. According to this decision matrix, the best possible alternative is to pursue a partnership with an automotive manufacturer. And as we mentioned earlier, the most synergistic partner is Daimler AG. This alternative is ideal because it promotes financial growth and expansion. It minimizes risk because we are entering a large market with a large partner, and it takes advantage of a turbulent pandemic market. In saying so, we believe that it is in your best interest to enter a contractual partnership with Daimler AG to have them exclusively implement your telematics into their existing and upcoming fleet of HCVs and LCVs. So, we have made a few suggestions for you to consider, but it is important that we do not rush these into action and we take your suggested 5 years to spread expansion out. We suggest pursuing the Daimler expansion to Germany in the first year and let it stabilize in the upcoming year as well. From there, if all is well, we suggest entering the Italian market, which, as we mentioned earlier, is the second most growing LCV market. We have budgeted the upcoming year for you to focus on the expansion and left year 5 in the foreseeable future to either North America or Asia, which is a brand new opportunity. Now, we understand that this is a lot to take in, so we have provided a key performance system so that you can track the progress of WebEye and its subsidiaries for the foreseeable future. Since you've already seen something like this, we will not break it down now, but would be happy to go more into depth at a later time. As your team of management consultants, we decided it would be beneficial to provide some risks for you to consider should you choose an alternative other than the one that we have suggested. So I won't go through each one, but it is important that I highlight the main risk of a competitor recreating a TAS system and taking away your competitive advantage. And let's be honest, this is not only extremely likely, but it would also have a significant impact on WebEye's sales. So it is vital that you mitigate this risk by acting fast and getting TAS out there through expansion into the LCV market. So obviously we have unpacked a large amount of information and we'll open the floor for questions in a second. But for now, we wanted to summarize utilizing the priority questions found in your information memorandum. Firstly, how can we increase its growth in the turbulent environment? Well, our recommendation is that you form a contractual agreement with Daimler that would help you stay prominent in the HCV sector and assume a large market present in the LC market segment as well. How can we prepare for the post-pandemic recovery period and establish the foundations for a strong and sustainable growth? So the solution we have provided serves as a positive alternative, both short-term during the pandemic as well as long-term for when the pandemic ends. The changes made now will benefit WebEye during the pandemic in terms of growth, while competitor progression is left relatively stagnant.
How can the company introduce the new TAS service model to the customers in the LCV segment? So as mentioned earlier, a partnership with Daimler would almost self-advertise your product, as they could directly implement your telematics into their vehicles before selling them to companies like DHL or other delivery services. What kind of companies should WebEye target in the LCV segment, and with what specific value propositions? So of course our proposition is to target a partnership who has a large market share in the LCV segment in Germany. They would introduce us to the LCV market and allow us an opportunity to promote our brand through community recognition. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing the next generation of WebEye. We would also now like to open the floor for any questions or concerns that you may have.